Hey guys, I decided to cut off the really cool music a few minutes early because I have so much to talk about tonight. We have a lot of fun news for what's coming up with COSI Talks. We have a lot of great questions that you guys sent in today. So I am super stoked. I will not lie. I am totally running on preparing for this huge lecture I am doing in Krakow at the end of October. I was invited to come back this year. I don't know why they come back, guys. I didn't scare them off the first round last year. No, I'll just it is an incredible invited back to Forum Amputacji in Krakow. And it's an international amputee forum for clinicians from all around Europe. And even Israel, we had some last year. I mean, incredible. So I am like full speed ahead, getting that presentation ready, lecturing to physical therapists. I will have an entire day to teach them the ways of the amputee force. So I am, my brain is just like that explosion emoji right now. So if I like, guys, it's not because I've been hitting the sauce, it's because I'm just like fried. But we got a lot of good stuff tonight. Hey, compadre on board, man. It's always a good Wednesday when I start off seeing my buddies from Miami right there. We've got John C on board. We got Pokey Jamar B. Man, I love these YouTube handles. They crack me up. We got Mark coming in from Colorado Springs. Mark, I got your question, man. I was happy to see it. Scott, got your question ready for tonight. We got Mama Jess coming in from Texas. Emily from Central PA with Crystal Light and Fruit Punch. Emily, I sent that email off. Okay? Sent that email off, and we're going to wait to see about an answer to help you out. All right, we got Benny coming in from Texas saying he is still sore from that incredible race that he ran, that 5K race. Benny, did you ever tell me what time you got there? John C says that he left you a Facebook Messenger. I got it, John, and I'm going to be reading it because it really made my heart smile. John C coming in from San Diego. We got Glenn. That's my OI boy right there from southeastern Pennsylvania. Gatorade Zero on tap tonight. Thanks for coming in. We got Dave Fink on board as well saying, yo, Glenn. Let's see, we got Crystal coming in from Fort Worth, Texas. We got a few Texans on board. Yeehaw. All right, and we got come from the Delaware beaches. We got Marianne from South Dakota with her ice water. Sherry coming in from Tennessee. Chuck in here for tonight's show. Good to see you, man. We got Pam from upstate New York. Tom from Canada. We got Jim from Ohio, guys. It cracks me up because whenever I meet with like new sponsors and people who are interested in supporting the show, they always ask me, where do your viewers come from? And I'm like, everywhere, literally everywhere. And I somehow want to incorporate a map and push pins. I want to do that, and a map of the world, because we've had not only all over the United States, Canada, we've had South, Central America, we've had Europe, we've had Asia, we've had Australia coming in, chiming in. So I need to figure out how I can put a push pin map on the COSI Talks wall. Let's see. So Chuck coming in from Wyoming. We got Donna also coming in from Wyoming. Connection must be bad. Gosh, I hope not, guys. Can you guys see me okay? My connection for once is actually cooperating. We got Marty coming in as well. 1 hour, 2 minutes. Nicely done, Benny. Nicely done. Let's see. Marty says, just had my second eval after 6 weeks in a K3 level. Hallelujah for that one. We got Josh coming in from Cleveland. Let's see. On our Instagram channel, a little bit quiet, but we're okay. We got Cindy on board as well. Guys, don't be shy on that Instagram channel. Okay. I should probably just take a breath for a minute and introduce myself, especially to our newcomers. So if you are new to the COSI Talk Show, welcome. My name is Cosi Belloso. I'm a physical therapist here in Tampa, Florida. I've been a PT now for a little over 23 years, and my passion is working with the amputee and limb loss community. I have a private outpatient practice here in Tampa that is exclusively for working with amputees, and obviously now this talk show. Hey there, Sean, coming in from Jackson, Florida. All right, we got a lot of good stuff on board. I do want to start off, let's see, with kind of a fun announcement. I have my first official sponsor signed and ready to go for 2026, and it's something new. So I'm super stoked about that. And I'm going to leave it at that right there. So right now's the time of year where I'm kind of, folks are, asking about sponsorships and things like that. I do want to announce that I am opening sponsorships this year also to prosthetic and physical therapy clinics. So I've created 2 packages for prosthetist clinics and also for physical therapy clinics. So if there's any of you out there, I know I've had a lot of prosthetists that have watched the show over the years and have expressed your desire to support the show. You can reach out to me. And let me know if you're interested. I'm happy to walk you through the packages. No pressure whatsoever. But I do have 2 packages, one of which allows you to have your own show on Cozy Talks. So again, if you are a prosthetist and you're interested in supporting the show, or if you just would like to be a quiet supporter and support the show, there's another package as well for that. Guys, if those of you who take this information to your prosthetist and you think your prosthetist might be interested, by all means, let them know. Let them know. All right, we got Jim coming in from Illinois with a side of St. Louis and just ice water. Thank you. I know. No, 2026 is looking good. And guys, it'll be 8 years in January. Can you imagine? It's been 8 years in January that I've been broadcasting the Cozy Talk show. And when I think about where I started and where I am now, I mean, it's been blood, sweat, and tears. I am not going to lie. It has been blood, sweat, and tears every year. And every year it just a lot of prayer as to where this show is going. Where am I taking it? Am I going to have the resources to continue and the support from the community? And this year I am so hopeful. So hopeful. I have a couple of exciting new things coming down the pike. Again, for me, I'm just excited to honestly be able to open up sponsorships to prosthetists, because that's something I've always wanted to do, but I didn't have necessarily the manpower to be able to do all of that along with the other O&P sponsors that I have. Oh, you're seeing Michelle. Wonderful, David. Oh, she's a fantastic physical therapist, truly wonderful colleague, so well-versed. She's one of those, on top of being an amputee physical therapist, she also knows how to treat osseointegration. So truly, David, you're in the best of hands right there. And I can't wait to see the cartwheels that she will have you doing. I'm pretty sure there. So that's kind of the cool news for 2026, guys. And then coming up in a couple of weeks, we also have a very special show that I'll be kind of talking about in a few minutes as well. All right, guys, let's get started. So one of the questions that came in is from, where did it go? I just had it here. I thought I was just going to jump right in, but apparently I lost the question that I was going to start off with. Here we go. This one coming in from Linda. Johnny V from Poughkeepsie, New York, in the Cozy Talks house. All right, now it's a party, guys. It is a party right there. All right, so this question came in from Linda. Linda is asking, here's a good one for you. Temperatures here in Catskills of New York last night. Phantom shocking pain hit hard. Maybe you could just put a reminder out there of things to do with seasonal changes that seem to be most present. Hey there, Van Gregory. So guys, phantom pain, no stranger discussing it on this show, right? And actually, like a few weeks ago, we did 2 back-to-back shows where we just all talked about phantom limb pain. And one of the things that I stressed about phantom limb pain in terms of possibilities of how to get a hold of it is to figure out what triggers your phantom limb pain, right? First of all, determining, is it phantom limb pain versus phantom limb sensation versus residual limb pain, okay? And then figuring out what is the trigger. Okay. And sometimes it's very obvious to someone. They're just like, oh my gosh, every time I'm stressed out about something, boom, phantom pain pops up. For other people, it's a little more subtle. You know, they may not know exactly, they sometimes get phantom limb pain until they kind of start paying attention to when, right? And sometimes it helps to keep a log of saying, okay, what was going on the day I got that phantom pain? What was I doing? What was I eating? You know, what was going on in my life at that time? Weather changes is a trigger. It is a trigger. And those of you who live in northern states where now you're starting to see that transition into cooler weather, yeah, that can certainly change things. And again, I'm not a meteorologist, so I'm not up to all the barometric pressure changes and things like that that may or may not occur with weather changes. But if I had to venture a guess, I'm going to guess that the colder weather, as well as barometric pressure changes. And the reason why I mentioned that is because here in Florida, we have one season. It's called hot as Hades summer, right? That's our season all year round. But then occasionally we like to throw in hurricanes, right? Just for fun, right? And we're smack dab in the middle of hurricane season now. And when we do have a hurricane that's approaching, I can feel the pressure dropping. And I know that that sets off some of my amputees here that live in Florida as well. Okay. So figuring out what that trigger is. Now, I asked Linda in return, I go, well, Linda, if this is what sets you off, like if it sets off your phantom pain, what do you do to help it? Okay. And she mentioned that she does massaging techniques, tries to put warm compress on there with massaging techniques, and then trying distraction, right? She says in her case, she does prayer to try to distract her from the phantom limb pain. Okay, so I want to put a COSI poll out there right now. How many of you guys know that one of your triggers is weather changes? Start putting it in the comment section. I want to know because I need some coffee right now. Because like I said, I'm running on fumes. I got to get a new mug. This one's poor beat up. Let's see. We've got, hey, Pastor David's in the house, and we got Michael Ham Sandwich coming in from Fort Wayne, Indiana. And then Marianne says, windy days bother me a lot. Okay. So come on. I know there's a few other of you out there that might be affected by the weather. Let's hear from you. We've got Neville Morris also on Instagram as well. Welcome aboard. Sherry says, I do. Okay. Johnny says, my triggers are weather-related barometric pressure changes the majority of the time. Boom. Donna says, yep, that's me. Mama Jess says, I do. Okay. So yeah, it sounds like a lot of you. And the fact is, like, if weather is a trigger for you, obviously that's a little easier to pick up on, right? Michael says, sudden temperature change from a heat wave to a sudden cold day the next day and vice versa causes tons of phantom pain during work. Yeah. And believe it or not, I mean, even though I joke about Florida being like hot as Hades all year round, that happens a lot here in Florida in our winter, right? Our winter days, it'll start off in the 30s and the 40s. And then, no joke, guys, by the afternoon, we're up to the 80s. Okay. It's a really dramatic, like you leave for work in the morning and you're wearing sweaters and a coat, and by noon you've got everything off and you're in short sleeves. Okay. It's very roller coaster here in Tampa where I live. Emily says, I'm lucky I don't deal with phantom pain, but with having hydrocephalus, I feel like a human barometer. My head can tell if the weather is changing. Yeah. Scott says, yes, especially when getting cold. Crystal says, definitely weather changes and affects it. So now here's the other question for you. See, I'm making you guys give me the information tonight. What do you guys do to help relieve it? What helps relieve it? Curious to know. I'm gonna have a sip of my coffee while you guys are answering. What helps to relieve your phantom pain? Specifically for those of you who feel it coming on when you have weather changes. Brian says, yes, cool and damp weather. Because that's the thing, like a lot of times I try to tell you guys, okay, if you know what the trigger is, perhaps you can avoid it, perhaps you can get ahead of it, but it's just like, well, you can't really do much about the weather, right? John C says, here in San Diego, it's a lot like there in Florida where our climate is. Brian says massage. Chuck says sometimes heat packs will help. Crystal says I have yet to figure out as I am a new amputee. David says lucky enough to have my nerves bundled at Johns Hopkins, so no issues there. Good job. Marty says I tap my stump on the bed or tap the end with a hand. Michael says yes, large variance in temperature nearly always has a stabbing foot or breaking shin pain every 60 to 120 seconds the day of. Oh. Glenn says sometimes nothing helps. Other times Tylenol massage or a TENS unit. Marianne says drinking electrolyte drink helps her. Mama Jess says wrapping pretty tight, a heating pad massages. And then Donna says trying to get warm. And if I had to if I had to pinpoint one, I would actually go with Donna's. Okay. Because if the cold is definitely dropping your temperature, trying to keep yourself warm. Johnny says, my greatest relief is distraction with alternate stimuli. Ben Gregory says, weather is definitely a factor, especially cold weather. Keeping my residuals warm and covered helps tremendously. Linda says, heat packs are a great idea. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so guys, great suggestions. And I guess I appreciate you guys putting these comments in because there are a lot of people, a lot of folks here that are new to watching, and they might be quiet. They may not necessarily be putting comments in the comment section, and that's perfectly fine. But I know that they're getting this information that they need. Sherry says CBD lotion. Yeah, I've heard that a lot as well. All right, we got MK Dolphin joining on board. We got Dick Devers on board also at the Instagram channel. Okay, so moving on. What are the products? Larry asks, what are the products you recommend for cleaning your skin? So guys, I have always loved Vital Skin products. They are a company that I used to work with a lot a few years back, and they've downsized that part of their company a lot. So unfortunately, they're not on the show the way they used to be years ago, but I still have a lovely working relationship with them. I have a QR code. I actually threw it up on a QR code because I wanted to get that up there. There we go. All right, guys. So on the upper corner of the screen, right over there, you're going to see the QR code for the Vital Fit skincare line. They have a cleanser, a daytime moisturizer, a liquid to powder lotion, and a nighttime moisturizer. This is something that I recommend a lot. I actually have some of my colleagues that come and ask me, what is it that I use for my patients? And this is what I say. This has been so by far the most consistent skincare line that I have used among my patients. And then also many of you of my viewers love these products. They do have, and for those of you who are on your phone, if you Google Vital Fit SR, the way I'm writing it, I'm typing it into the comment section right now. If you Google that, and I'm going to put it into the Vital Fit SR for my Instagram folks. Okay. Then you will be taken to their website. So in case you can't scan the QR code that I put up there, and they still honor my code, guys. So I do have a discount code, COSI10, COSI10. So again, very, very good stuff. Great stuff, actually. Love it. Okay, so I like their cleanser because, again, it works great for your skin. It also works great for the inside part of your liner. So, and that's a really, really key factor right there. Marty says, look at Cozy being all fancy with the QR codes. Right? Right? Okay. This is where my tech team is just like biting their fingernails going, oh gosh, I hope she doesn't mess it up. I hope she doesn't. See, Michael says, fellow amputees, how did you get over the grossness and gross out trauma of even being able to touch or see your leg? Hey, Bill. Welcome aboard, Bill. So guys, did any of you have issues with that? Okay, that's something we kind of sort of discuss, but we don't like discuss like body image after amputation, right? How many of you had a lot of trouble looking at your residual limb? You know, or like Michael, that you felt like it was kind of a gross trauma type experience. Like what did you guys, how did you guys feel about that? Let's hear it. Let's hear it. We don't filter things on the Koshi Talk Show. We don't sugarcoat things on the Koshi Talk Show. So let's hear those thoughts right now. That's a way to rip off the Band-Aid, Michael. And thank you for asking that question. It's true. It's true. I know that there were several times I worked, I did work in trauma ICU for many years, level 1 trauma center, and you saw a lot of really intense and even gory accidents. Some of them involving amputations, some of them involving a lot of burn trauma. And, you know, as a clinician, for me to look at those things, I'm not desensitized. Like I still am touched when I see someone who's undergone that kind of trauma, but it doesn't, like for me as a clinician, it doesn't gross me out. But I can certainly understand someone who's not a clinician and they see this trauma happen to their body. And I saw it in many of my patients, that they would be, they didn't want to look at their body part, or they didn't want to look in the mirror after what happened. You know, and it's pretty intense to see, you know, and I've had my own fair share of surgeries due to breast cancer. So I can certainly say from a personal standpoint, seeing surgical wounds on yourself compared to seeing it on someone else, it's certainly a moment right there, right? Let's see. We got a lot of comments rolling in with this one. Crystal says, I cried and asked them to put it back on. It was hard to see it at first. Linda says, in the beginning, I avoided looking in the mirror. Marty says, I was fine with it, but I'm an OR nurse with a level 2 trauma center. Let's see. Marianne says, I was very grossed out until I got healed up. Rupert says, first few weeks, I was holy heck. And then it's like, this is the new me. Let's go get it. Michael says, I hear lotions and ointments and skincare recommendations, but I still struggle 4 years later, even after sitting in the shower. Yeah. So again, just going back to the body image side of it, guys, it's okay. Like I know I'm not an amputee myself, but I'm like, it's okay to be initially, you know, shocked at the sight of that. And yes, when you see a residual limb, you know, that's been re-amputated, it's very swollen, it's very oozing. There's a lot of stuff going on right there. And then seeing the states It's a lot of trauma. It's a lot of trauma. David says, I've seen more than enough trauma in my life, and seeing my residual limb was much easier. Okay. So yeah, and it's interesting. I've had all across the spectrum with that. I've had some patients that they just saw it and they were like, okay, it is what it is, and off we go. And then other patients that I would have to cover their limb with a blanket or a towel while I was working with them until they slowly got used to it. Sherry says, it took a while before I could look, even longer to accept it. Yeah. Let's see. Chuck says, it took about 4 days just to look at it. I was home from the hospital before I could stand to look at it. Wife and daughter took care of it. Yeah. All right. So Michael, going back to your comment, you said lotions and ointments and skincare, Rex, but still struggle 4 years later, even after sitting in the shower. Even sitting in the shower. Okay. So Michael, usually, and again, a lot just depends on what is your skin looking like, right? And you know, what does your skin biome look like, right? Prior to your amputation, you probably didn't even think twice about the skin on your legs, right? You just put a pair of shorts on, put a pair of pants on, and went about your day, took your shower, and that's all you wrote, right? But obviously the dynamics of your skin change a lot when you start wearing a prosthesis, right? You've got something stuck to your skin all day, and that's going to create all sorts of potential issues with sweat and rashes and irritations and chafing and all that kind of fun stuff. And then your skin might become more oily, or the opposite, it could dry out. Okay. So again, assessing what your skin is doing now. And again, your physical therapist can help you out with this. A dermatologist can help you out with this as well, to determine what is it that your skin needs, right? If it's dry, you need to moisturize it. If it's oily, you need to back off maybe just a little bit on the moisturizer and then try to find that balance. Again, the Vital Fit stuff, I like it because it really does give a nice balanced skincare line. And what I've noticed over the years that I've used it with my patients and feedback from viewers is when you use all 4 products consistently, your skin does get a nice balance to it. Okay. And again, a lot of it, Michael, is getting a routine for your skin, getting the routine so your skin gets that balance. And then on the days where it gets colder and it's a little bit drier, okay, then you know you have to add a little bit more moisturizer at night. Or in the warmer months when it's a lot more humid, you might skip the morning moisturizer and not use that part at all. Okay. So again, Michael, kind of just taking a look, like, what does your skin look like right now? What do you feel like it needs? Is it dry? Is it oily? Is it, you know, does it have a nice little skin turgor, meaning it just has like a nice little bounce to the skin? What's going on there? Okay. All right, we got Tom joining in on Instagram. I appreciate that, guys. Guys, by the way, I don't know, I haven't really announced it as much, but I'm broadcasting to Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, but now also Rumble. That's a new platform that I've been broadcasting to the past few weeks. So if any of you have a Rumble account and you want to just kind of check in there and just see that it's all going great, that would be awesome. Thank you. Okay, let's see. Kim from Indiana says, I'm 15 years out from cancer and amputation. My tumor was more gross than my stitches, but congratulations, Kim, on 15 years of survival there. That's pretty awesome. Benny says, at first I didn't want to look at it, but eventually I became normal. Sean says, it didn't bother me because when I woke up from my coma, I still had my leg. What bothered me was all the scars from my accident. I really took pride in my health and my appearance, and I cried because of some of the scars. Yep. Let's see, 19 Pop from Long Island coming in on board. Thanks for coming. Emily says, seeing the wound before amputation was more traumatic and gross than the actual amputation itself. Bill says, it's a great product for sure. Yep, absolutely. Linda says, I like using coconut oil at night. It's neutral and antibacterial. Yes, I actually really like coconut oil, and I also like cocoa butter. I used to use it a lot when I worked with my burn trauma patients, especially with their skin grafts. The only thing with coconut oil and cocoa butter is you cannot use it during the daytime because it'll make your skin into an oil slick. And I made that mistake very early on when I was first working with amputees, and I'm like, cocoa butter. Oh, wait, that does not work well under a liner. Not at all. But yes, I think coconut oil is great. I do love the natural antibacterial properties that it has. I do love that side of it. Hey, Harsh, thanks for coming on board. Johnny says, reasonable having issues with body image changes. Takes time to get used to your new self. Feeling comfortable in your skin starts even before amputation for many. I developed a whole new perception of myself, especially interacting in person with limb loss peers. Yeah, it really does help, guys, to see other people with amputations and have that peer support, especially for folks who had never, seen or met an amputee before their own amputation. So Harsh is coming in from Richmond, Virginia. Michael says, after 4 years, I finally committed to seeking a new physical therapy provider that's more focused on amputee as I've hit that 90% potential point, ready to go in all in for that last 10% with better experienced therapists. Very thankful for how far they've kept me accountable to get where I am, but it was time to move on. And Michael, that's a really fantastic attitude towards it. Okay. And yes, guys, sometimes when when it comes to physical therapists, we all have our own special niches, right? We all have, even though we were trained to treat everybody, literally everybody in the human population and all pathologies, we tend to gravitate towards certain demographics. So in my own 23-year career, I've treated pretty much every pathology that's out there. I've laid hands on a patient at some point or another with everything from cancer to transplant to burns to cardiac to neuro to, you name it, right? But obviously I've gravitated towards amputee care. And then within amputee care, I really love working in those beginning stages, right? Getting people going. And then I also really love working with the running stages, right? And there's definitely times where some of my patients will progress to a certain point and their needs for wanting to go to the next level, I will need to refer them out to another colleague or refer them to an organization that can meet their needs, usually with some sort of adaptive sport that they want to try. So yeah, I think it's totally cool that you understand that sometimes your physical therapist, you might outgrow your physical therapist. You might outgrow your physical therapist. Let's see. Ben Gregory says, my residuals were sexy after amputations and even more so after revisions made them shorter. Yes, sir, Ben Gregory. Sean says, I use cocoa butter at night. Yeah, I love cocoa butter. Michael says, if I'm told I need a revision, that's when I'm probably just going to go throw in the towel. Nope, Michael, you're not going to be allowed. Sorry, you're part of the Cozy Talks family, and we just don't allow giving up. So we got Mary coming in from Arizona. Bill says, I was hit at 80 miles an hour and I have scars all over my body and I'm just happy to be alive. Yeah. Chick stick scars. Chick stick scars. All right. All right, guys, let's move on to this next question. Let's see. Scott, this is a really great question from Scott. Let me just tip over to the Instagram channel real quick. Okay, we're good. All right. Scott asks, I have a question I don't think has been asked related to my new dress pants, which, by the way, Scott, you looked very sharp in your Facebook picture with your new dress pants. So should I be concerned about it getting caught around the prosthetic? These were custom made, so very pricey, even with the Friends discount, but I'm not going to find my size on shelves. So how can I protect the pants? So Scott, you're a below the knee amputee. So the biggest thing that I would consider as a below the knee amputee with a nice pair of dress pants is the trim lines. Look at the trim lines where your prosthesis, right? That's the part I would say gets the most wear and tear. And you can actually have your tailor put in patches. So guys, for those of you who don't know, I have four very active kids. So I am the expert at cleaning clothing and getting stains out and also repairing clothing. Okay. And obviously the biggest repair I used to always have to do when my kids were younger, and even now sometimes, it's the knees, right? How the knees get worn out. And they have this really cool type of pad that you can put in the inside of the pant to reinforce the knee, to make it just sturdier. Okay. So Scott, I would ask whoever made you those dress pants, ask them if they can put that kind of reinforcement around the general knee area, okay, to prevent that kind of wear and tear. And then yes, towards the bottom of your prosthesis where you have the connection to the foot, there's a potential for things to catch there, and you don't want to ruin the cuff, the hem of your pants. So I know, and guys, please chime in on this one. Chime in if you guys have any amputee hacks for this one. Some people get like a pool noodle, and I've seen this done sometimes. You know how those like foam pool noodles, and they'll cut them. So you cut them into a segment, and then you put that segment around the end where the metal sticks out, and that kind of hopefully protects the pant leg from catching on. I hope that makes sense. Sherry says, Amputee Coalition Conference is awesome to attend. You see so many awe-inspiring people and learn so much. And guess who gets to go to Amputee Coalition Conference next year? Anybody else going? Oh, Linda says, oh my gosh, I go through so many leggings because of my socket. Yeah, it's a huge thing. So again, it's one of those things where if you put the reinforcement on the knees, okay, that will save a lot of the wear and tear on your pant legs. And then again, towards the end, so right where the socket and the pylon to connect the foot, there's where you have a lot of bits and bobs going on that can get caught. Bill says, back in the 60s, my mom would sew knee patches on the outside of my pants. Well, yes. Well, thankfully now, Bill, they have an inside way of doing it. So there's actually, it's like a little rectangular piece of cloth that you used to be able to buy at Joann Fabrics, but now Joann's has closed, much to my dismay. And now it goes on the inside, so you don't have that visible patch on the outside. Oh, so Sherry's going. Bill, you're going to go. Susan, oh, you're going to go too? Vegas, baby. All right, so Scott, ask your tailor about that. Linda's going. Y'all, lots of people are going. We got to do a Cozy Talks meetup. Ben Gregory, you and I going running. I need you to get me back in shape. Benny, are you going? I need my runners because I have not been running in a while. So if y'all are going to Las Vegas for the Amputee Coalition Conference, we need to schedule a run because I need to get my rear end gear and get back in shape. Oh my gosh, that's going to be so much fun. Guys, I've never been to Vegas. This is going to be my first time in Vegas. Right? Okay, a little scary. Okay, we're going to have to do, we got to do something. So guys, I will be hanging out with College Park at the Amputee Coalition National Conference. So the party is going to be at the College Park booth. Let people know. That's where the party's going to be. Let's see. Emily says, my KFO has always been brutal on my pants. Yeah, no, the KFO with those hinges. Yeah, I can totally see that. But again, like you can get those patches and put them on the inside of the pants. Harsh says he's going to try to go. Oh, that'd be awesome, Harsh. Marty's going to try to go. Let's see. Scott's going to go. When is the conference? The conference is January. Guys, help me out. I have the dates written in my calendar, and once something goes in my calendar, it goes out of my brain. Mary, you've never been? Oh, you got to go. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, Sean, definitely when you're going, when people are there that you know, it's a lot more fun. And then if I'm at the College Park booth, we have lots of fun, guys. We have a lot of fun. Jim, you're going to go too. Glenn, it'll be says, okay, I know. Okay, we're going to do it. So guys, I'm going to be hanging with College Park, right? They're the lovely sponsors that are taking me to Amputee Coalition Conference. So what say we do a Cozy Talk show, like for all the listeners? Let's do a listener special show, the 12th through the 15th. Because the thing is, I have 2 trips I'm taking in January. One is the Coalition Conference, and another one is another conference. So I get my dates mixed up. Okay, so Sherry's putting up that list right there. Let's do that. Watch the One-Arm Bandits. What? No idea what that means, Dave. The One-Arm Bandits. Okay, you're cracking me up there. All right. Okay, Emily, here's the question that Emily asked. Emily asks, have you heard of the Veriflex prosthetic foot? I was doing research on what kind of prosthetic feet have been used for patients with spina bifida, and the Veriflex prosthetic foot came up. I have a Satch foot, which feels like I'm trying to walk with a brick on the end of my prosthesis. Kim says, I met you in August at the AC conference. I just got back from EmpowerFest. I was able to get up on a horse and ride, and it's been 30 years. Kim, that's wonderful. Oh, Kim, that's wonderful. That is wonderful. Kim, give me your hacks for how you got back up on the horse. Like literally getting back on the horse. Glenn says, stop by the Integrum booth to see Mary, Susan, and myself. Yeah, guys. So if you guys want to see all the superstars, the osseointegration OI superstars that have been on my show, they are also going to be at the conference at the Integrum booth. Slots. Oh boy. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to do any gambling. I might watch, but I got kids I got to put through college, man. I don't need to go losing their tuition. Sean says, I've never been to a conference with amputees. It sounds interesting. It is a lot of fun. I will say it's a lot of fun. He says, I think it's the same time as our Patriot spring training. All right, let's get to the next question. I'm like going off on all these different tangents. Okay, so Emily's question about the Veriflex prosthetic foot. So the Veriflex is a foot made by Össur. It is a, if memory serves, carbon fiber dynamic response foot. Okay. So it's meant for a K3 level foot. Okay. So it's a very high activity level foot. Okay. So Emily, in your case, I don't know that that would necessarily be the right foot for you. Okay. So you're using a Satch foot and it sounds like it's really starting to weigh you down. And that makes sense because it's made out of wood. There's no dynamic response. It's just a block of wood, right? So if you feel like, okay, I'm walking enough with this, but it's starting to drag me down, then I think you've tested at a K2 level, okay? And you asked me a couple of different questions here. There was another question that you had asked that related to the K level testing. Sorry, guys. Like I said, I've been working all day on this presentation, so my brain is just kind of all over the place. So yes, the test to use the K-level testing, the gold standard for doing K-level testing, it's called the AMP Pro or the AMP No Pro. Okay, so I'm going to type that in, AMP Pro or AMP No Pro. So if you are testing with the use of your prosthesis, you would use the AMP Pro. If not, the AMP No Pro. That's what it means. So if you don't have your prosthesis yet and you're testing without it, you do the AMP No Pro. So this is kind of in the gold standard that was created by Bob Gailey many moons ago to do and assign K-level testing, okay? The person who should be doing the AMP Pro is the physical therapist, okay? Are there prosthetists out there that have been very well trained and know how to do it? Yes, but the majority of prosthetists that I have encountered have not. And the thing is, when it comes to functional outcome measure testing, which that's what this is, okay, that is a big tenet in physical therapy care. Like that, we have a whole bank of functional outcome measure tests that we do. Okay, so that is our wheelhouse. Now, why am I stressing that? Is because a lot of times I'll get a phone call from a prosthetist who says, I tested my patient on the AMP Pro and they got a K2, but I know that they can function as a K3 and they missed it by 1 or 2 points. And usually what I find is that the test was administered incorrectly. Okay. So for accuracy, again, physical therapist should be the one administering the functional outcome test to determine the K level. That's my story, and I'm going to stick to it. Okay. Unless it's a very well-trained prosthetist, and those do exist out there. Okay. So in your case, if you are testing at a K2 level, then you probably do need to work at looking at a K2 level foot. Okay. So it's kind of like when you are learning how to skate, like when you were a kid and you put on a pair of skates. Okay. If somebody gave you like the slickest inline super duper fast skates and you didn't even know how to skate yet, you were going to go all over the place and hurt yourself. Okay, so the higher level technology of skate would not have been best for you. You needed a simple skate that was going to give you good stability. Okay, so the Veriflex is a K3 level foot. If you're not testing at a K3 level and you're not performing at that level, it's actually going to be more unsafe for you. Okay, so granted, you might be outgrowing that Satch foot, okay, but you're not necessarily quite ready for that K3 level foot. Okay. And there's a lot of options nowadays for in between. There's a lot of really, really good K2 feet out there. Okay. College Park alone has come out with several different models for K2 feet. Okay. So Emily, if you feel like you're really outgrowing that Satch foot, okay, you need to talk to your prosthetist about possibly trialing other feet. Okay. Guys, if you go to my website at cosietalks.com, okay, I have a blog that I wrote that it says everything you need to know about prosthetic feet, and then another blog that says how to choose a prosthetic foot. Okay, those are probably the two best pieces of literature that I've written, right? And I go into different types of prosthetic feet right there. A good breakdown, Emily, and it's going to help you figure out which foot might be a good one for you and also start that conversation with your prosthetist. Emily says, my prosthetist told me I'm a low K1, but I'm not sure if I was evaluated correctly. Okay. So again, and it could be, I don't know when was the last time you were evaluated for the functional outcome measure. It could be that you've progressed to a K2 level. Okay. So, again, have that testing done, and perhaps you would qualify for a K2. My recommendation for you there. She says, you say, my ultimate goal is to be able to do basic walking in my community, like walking from my house to my van, or van to church, or van to store. What K level would that be? So when you're in a walking, it depends. So the K2 level says that the person is walking in their home and can do some community walking, but they are not able to vary their cadence, meaning they cannot speed up and slow down. So if you're walking across the crosswalk and the light turns red, are you able to speed up your walking to make it to the other side safely? If the answer is yes, then that means you're on a K3 level. If the answer is no, you're going to keep going at the same speed, K2 as well. Okay. So, some people are K2 and they're able to walk from the van to their church, but they're doing it at a set pace. Okay. So that's more of the nuance there. It's not so much the distance, it's the walking speed. That's what the big difference between K2 and K3 right there. Okay. And then you ask, this is a very good question, Emily. Emily asks, how do you fairly evaluate the patient for their K level when they rely more on their upper body to ambulate versus their legs? Okay, so unfortunately, K level testing is not perfect, and the K levels themselves, not perfect. Okay, so when we do the K level testing, we're not differentiating between whether the person uses their upper body versus their lower body. We're looking at the movement as a whole. Okay, how do they get from sitting to standing? How do they go over an object? How do they go up and down a curb or stairs? Okay, how do they walk a certain distance? Okay, so it's not so much about if they're doing it with their upper body or lower body, is can they do it, and how much assistance do they require to do it? Those are the basic tenets that they're looking at. Okay, so they don't, because again, it goes back to, if you're not able to walk with a certain speed, or if you're not able to walk with a certain level of independence, then a K3 foot is not going to be a good option for you. And a K2 foot is actually going to be a better option at giving you more independence in that regard. Okay. All right, let's see some of these comments that are coming in. Oh, that's the one-armed bandit, the slot machines. Okay, I get it. See, you can tell I've never been to Vegas. Okay, let's see. Amputee Artisan Craft says, looking forward to seeing Kosi again at ACA conference in Las Vegas. Was just at Empower Fest last week. Oh, Amputee Artisan Crafts, what's your name? Because I'm only seeing your YouTube handle. What's your name? Kim says, I had help, a 3 step-up stool, 2 guys to get my leg over the saddle, and I plan to go somewhere closer at home and try it again. Bravo to you, Kim. That's absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. I don't get to be on a horse very often, but when I do, it's a lot of fun. So I'm really happy to see you get back to doing that. It's Grant. Oh my gosh, Grant, when did you get the new handle, man? That's awesome. I can't wait to see you again. Let's see. G.I. Jane is in the house. All right, G.I. Jane, let's get your question, because I got your question right. Jane asks, after stage 2 of OPRA osseointegration, what are the do's before beginning physical therapy? Okay, so quick recap on osseointegration. If you're doing OPRA, the OPRA system, it's a 2-part procedure. The first part is where they implant the fixture, the metal implant, into your femur, the leg bone, right? Thigh bone. And then they close everything up, right? Stage 2 procedure. Stage 2 procedure, to me, that's where the real magic happens, okay? Surgeon comes in and they create the opening at the end of the limb, and that's where the abutment, that metal, looks like a metal pole, little metal rod, sticks out, okay? That is the part that then attaches to the axor and the prosthesis, okay? Here is the biggest thing about stage 2, okay? With stage 2 in OPRA, the surgeon is working some serious magic, okay, to accommodate and get all the soft tissues in the right place, all the muscle, all the fascia, all the fat, all the skin, to attach it to the end of your femur bone, okay? This is what differentiates the Oprah system from other osseointegration systems, how they create that opening. And they have a really kind of cool new name for it. It's called the bonded matrix. We're going to be getting more into that later on, okay? But basically, okay, that skin and those soft tissues are attached to the end of that bone, okay? It's a nice, tight system. It makes it nice and close and tight, so you're not going to get drainage. That is the ultimate priority with stage 2, is protecting that surgical site. Okay, so if there's one thing that you must do after stage 2 osseointegration, protect that surgical site at all costs. So it means, GI Jane, because I'm looking at you, darling, no hot dogging. Okay, no doing, and I hate to sound like this, but I say this all the time, you're not allowed to do anything stupid, right? Okay, you have to protect that surgical skin site, okay? And the first week, the protocols are basically like, it's very minimal movement that's allowed because you don't want the skin stressing out in that area. It has to attach to that bone and it has to adhere in that area to get a good result. Okay, so what you are going to do after stage 2 is you're going to follow everything that your surgeon and your physical therapist tells you to do to the letter. They're going to give you very, very specific guidelines as to what movement you can do and what movement you can't do. Here's a hint. In those first few days, there's not a lot of movement that you do because you want that skin to heal nice and well, okay? And when it heals, it looks amazing, guys. It looks beautiful. We've had several of our OI ambassadors from Oprah, from Integrum on the show to give that testimony right there. It's a beautiful result, okay? But there are certain people in this world, and myself included, that when it comes to surgery, we tend to push the envelope because we want to get moving, we want to get going, okay? I'm throwing myself under the bus because when I'm a patient, I have to be held back a lot. And I have to be told not to be stupid, okay? So therefore, I can tell, for those of you who are like me and you push the envelope a lot during surgery and you want to get going, stage 2, you got to behave yourself. Capiche? Got it, Jane? Looking at you. Looking at you. Because guys, if you're investing that much time into your health and that much sacrificing to have this surgery done, okay, you want to do it right the first time. You want to do it right the first time, and the results can be phenomenal. Can be phenomenal. Okay. Sherry says, walking speed took time for me. Initially, I was very slow. Now I can speed walk. Yeah. And guys, just because, you might test at a K1 when you're first starting out, it doesn't mean you're stuck at a K1. Okay. That just basically kind of gives an indication, to the processes to say, okay, more or less, this is the kind of foot that you're looking for that can best help you right now during that phase of your mobility. Okay. Dana asks, what's the highest K ranking? I'm a K3. Technically, the highest K ranking is a K level 4. And the K4 is basically athletes. So people who are capable of running and doing higher level sports, and children are automatically classified as K4. All children who are amputees are automatically classified as K4. Okay. Now, realistically speaking, is there a difference between the prosthetic componentry that's available to you as a K3 versus K4? And if there's any prosthetists here on board that would like to kind of back me up, correct me on this, please feel free to do so. I haven't seen a difference. Okay, I haven't seen a difference. So this is technically for the running, people who would use a running blade, but we still don't have insurances 100% on board approving running blades. With the act of So Everybody Can Move, and that's a petition that's going through the United States, laws trying to be passed to enforce that running blades do have to be covered by insurance. And that's my basic knowledge of the bill. I don't have full deep knowledge of the bill of So Everybody Can Move, but that we might see a change with that. So for example, if insurances do start covering running blades, it might be, I'm guessing, that you might have to be a K4 to qualify. That's my general educated guess. I need to do more reading on that to learn more. Emily says, I was evaluated 2 years ago, but with the lymphedema, I haven't really been able to use my prosthesis. And again, Emily, you got to get that lymphedema. And I know it's a struggle. Chronic lymphedema is no joke, no joke. But again, continuing to work with that lymphedema therapist, I think for you is definitely the priority, because if the lymphedema is not under control, then the therapist is going to have a hard time, and you're going to have a hard time, obviously, working to get you moving with what you have going on. Van Gerger says, are you going to be at the Dick's House Sports House in Tampa, 18th of October, sponsored by Hanger Clinic and free event amputees? Would be good to see you there. Registration required. I was actually invited to go, Van Gregory. I still don't know if I'm going to be able to go. I have some family commitments going on that weekend. I have my oldest daughter's birthday is that weekend, so I don't know if I will be able to go. I really would love to go because it just sounds like a lot of fun. So we'll see. I probably won't know if I can go until like a day or two beforehand. But now that if you're going, I really want to go. Okay. Man. Linda says it's amazing, and I'm finally riding the horse the way I used to. That's wonderful. Amputee Artisan Craft. So that is your business account, Grant. Okay. So Susan is repeating what I just said. Stage 2 is all about the bonded matrix, and we're going to be going more into that, guys, in the next 2 shows that I have with Integrum before the end of the year. Sky Arrow says, I do not have cat. Not sure what that means, but okay. Oh, G.I. Jane is under Sky Arrow. That threw me off for a minute. Bill says, I met Kevin Carroll at EmpowerFest. Great guy, and we are collectively working on the project we spoke about. Kevin Carroll's an amazing human being. Just truly, not just a phenomenal clinician, but just really fun human being. Really fun. Was he dancing on the tables again, Bill? That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. Was he dancing on the tables at EmpowerFest again? Because he was dancing on the tables at the Miami EmpowerFest. Maybe because it was Miami. I don't know. Okay. All right. Van Gregory, I'm surprised that you don't. Van Gregory, you are definitely A4. Like, I would classify you as a K4, Van Gregory. But yeah, the difference between the K3 and the K4 feet, and when you talk to prosthetists, they usually don't even refer to the K4 classification, because again, the only thing that would technically be a classification, it might be the running blades. Like, it's kind of, again, the K levels, the way they're done is kind of, it needs to be redone in my opinion, but that's another soapbox for later. Okay. Oh, here was a good question. This was actually a question that came in last week, and I didn't get a chance to answer it. It came from Bill, and he asked, do you think amputees deserve handicap parking license plates or the hanging placard? And I actually had to kind of dig around a little bit, because I wasn't sure in terms of the, like, what are the state rules about handicap parking license plates versus the hanging placard. My understanding is, my basic understanding, and this is in Florida, I don't know if this changes from state to state, and I would love to hear you guys, if you guys have any experience with this. If you qualify for handicap parking, you should be able to get a license plate and or a hanging placard, depending on what your car needs are. So for example, if you're someone who doesn't drive, right, that someone drives you around, you depend upon someone else for transportation, then it would make sense to have a hanging placard. You could use the placard and just change it to whichever car you are being driven in, right? However, if you have your own car, then it seems like it would make sense to have the license plate, handicap license plate. But my understanding is that you can also have the placard as well. So that could be for people that, you know, that they have their own car that they drive, but on occasion someone else is driving them, or that they travel and they use a rental car and they can have that hanging placard. So my understanding is that if you qualify for it, and I can't imagine why an amputee would qualify, then you can qualify for either the plate or the hard or both. Chuck says, Kevin was on the table. Oh yeah, there we go. There you go. I love it. Let's say G.I. Jane says in Arizona, you can have either one. Arsh says handicap can only get a plate. John says I have both. Ben says, what is happening in October 18th? I believe Hanger is sponsoring an event, an adaptive sports event, Benny. Let's see. Harsh says, N1 placard to use in ride. Marty says, I have a plate and my wife has a placard for when we are in her truck. There we go. Marianne says, I have both in South Dakota. Emily says, I drive and use a placard. Harsh says, but one can't have two handicap plates. No, I don't believe so. Yeah, I think you're right, Harsh. I don't think you can have, like, if you have two cars, like maybe you use a car and your wife has another car, you can't have two handicap license plates, but you can have a license plate and a hanging placard. Mark says in Colorado, it is exactly what you said, plate or two placards in that case. Chuck says in Wyoming, you can have as many plates as you need, but only one placard. That's interesting. That's which kind of makes sense, because if you get a ton of placards, you can see the potential for people to abuse that sometimes. Dana says in Texas, if you qualify, you can have either. My car, I have the plate, but I also have a placard for travel or my husband's truck. Sean says when I'm on vacation or visiting my best friend and her husband, they chauffeur me around. So Benny says I have both in Texas. So that was awesome. That was easy. Ben Gerger says K3 was my initial evaluation 3 years ago. It still serves my needs and lack of insurance. Yeah. And again, Ben Gerger, for everything that you would need, if you got the K3 level, you'll get everything you need. Again, unless the bill changes how that the feet are reimbursed. Okay. Next. Janie from Canada asks, and we're gonna, so guys, I'm gonna leave the Vital Fit QR code there for just another like minute. So if you want to go ahead and scan it now. Let me look over here. Woo, got a lot of people. Got Live Kind Foundation, Rob, I see you. I see you, Rob. Jamie, oh, speaking of Vital Fit, we got Markle Edwards that jumped in on board as well, and Running My Dream. Oh my goodness, Running My Dream joined in. I haven't seen her in a long time. There's my girl from Ireland. There's the Irish lass right there. Chuck says in Illinois, only one or the other, placard or plate. So I guess it is state dependent. Sorry, guys. All right. Mark says, topic was interesting, informative, and important. I know after watching past episodes, as well as the ones I participated, that I've not had a normal journey with my amputation. I've been blessed and extremely grateful that my surgeon, prosthetist, and PT all did their jobs well. Truth is, I have not experienced any of the problems that most everyone has. Lucky. I was walking with a cane the first day I put my prosthesis and was no longer using my aids after 5 weeks. I truly do believe that my mental toughness, determination, and attitude played a huge role in my recovery, but don't want to discount the importance of PT. I think I may have told you that my PT had to ask his peers for help with me, as there was not a task that he gave me that I did not immediately master, and he had to figure out the best way to challenge me and help my progress. So that leads me to the question I did ask during the talk. Are you having a support group with other PTs that would greatly benefit from your experience? Do you have such a thing? I would think that you could monetize that and provide a valuable to your profession, and amputees, they treat just so that's interesting. Yeah, you know what? Sometimes I do think that PTs need a support group. Jamie is on Instagram, Bill. I saw her over on Instagram. So when it comes to physical therapists, you know, we have what are called continuing education courses, and you see anybody who's in healthcare, nurse, doctor, OT, PT, speech, you know, all these folks, we have to take these continuing education courses in order to renew our licenses every renewal cycle. Okay. So that is one way to learn more. And that's actually when I referenced earlier about how I was feeling a little crispy around the edges tonight, because I'm developing a CEU course for the talk that I'm giving in Poland next year. And I've actually spent the past 2 years developing lots of CEU small courses and one big course for physical therapists, precisely for that, to share, you know, my knowledge and experience on working with amputees. And I love to teach. It's something I've always loved doing. I love teaching here on the show. I love teaching students. And I also love to work with other physical therapists and teach, because I feel like when I'm teaching, that's when I learn the most, right? If you really want to know if you know something, teach it to someone else, right? And yes, when it comes to cases, you know, and this is not just for physical therapists, this is healthcare professionals in general, we do refer and we do consult with our peers. I do it all the time. all the time. Certainly when I was a younger therapist, I had several mentors that shaped me into the physical therapist I am. So even though I was technically a licensed therapist and I was supposed to be independent with my patient care, I relied heavily upon the therapists that worked around me at the hospital I was at to guide me through the processes, especially with complicated patients. And even now, now I'm on the other end of the spectrum where I would be considered to be a seasoned and experienced therapist. I definitely have cases sometimes where I'm just scratching my head going, okay, what am I missing here with this patient? How can I do better here? Or we're stuck on a plateau and I don't want to waste this patient's time. So I will consult. And I'm so fortunate that through the show, I've met so many of my colleagues around the nation and around the world. So there's definitely a group of us that are out there that are in touch with one another. And I know I just today, I was sending text messages to two of the PTs I know about certain testing techniques and strategies and asking them, hey, this is how I do it. How do you do it? Right. And then when it comes to patients like yourself, Mark, occasionally I'll run into a patient that just has a very high level of activity. Ben Gregory is one of them. Ben Gregory was one of them that when I met him at EmpowerFest, I'm gonna brag on you a little bit there, Ben Gregory. He was giving me a run for my money in terms of how I had to keep coming up with things that I could challenge him with because he was performing at such a high level. And ironically enough, sometimes for me as a clinician, it's a little more challenging for me to think of things to do for someone who's at a higher level than a lower level. Probably because that's just the bulk of what I do is the folks who are getting started with learning to use their prosthesis. But I really love that challenge. It's how I got into starting to teach amputees how to run. And that's a skill that as a clinician, I will continue to develop over the years until I hang up my gait belt and retire, right? And so, yeah, it's something that in my opinion, if you are a good healthcare clinician, you are reaching out to your peers. You are reaching out to your peers. And this goes for doctors, nurses, all kinds of therapists, social workers, psychologists. You're not going to be able to know everything about everything. That's how I see it, right? And there's always room for learning. Even the top in our field, right? They are still learning. Right? So let's see. Benny says, I'm going to be in Tampa October 17th at Madeira Beach. Benny, send me a message on Facebook and just ask me to send you the information for the hangar event on the 18th. Okay. So just send me a reminder on Facebook through the messenger and I'll see if I can't get you that information and see if you're able to go. Oh, it's my pleasure, Linda. It's my profession, but it's also my vocation and I love what I do. Okay. I think, guys, here's what I had to announce now that I have a lot of people on board so that you guys can hear the announcement. On October 15th, okay, super special show. Mark it on your calendars, guys. So those of you who've been with me for a while, you know that I have a history of breast cancer. I was diagnosed, it'll be 10 years now. I was diagnosed in December of 2015. And I had to go a year of all sorts of fun surgeries and lots of chemotherapy. I glow in the dark. It's a great parlor trick. And after I finished my cancer treatment, that was basically what lit the fire under me to open up my practice for amputees and start the Cozy Talk Show. So as strange as it seems, everything with Cozy Talk started with cancer. And Moffitt Cancer Center was the place where I went for my care. And they are located here in Tampa. They are in the top 5 cancer centers in the nation, right up there with MD Anderson over in Texas and Sloan Kettering in New York, a very highly respected cancer hospital. And for good reason. It truly was, I truly received the best care. So I am so thrilled that in October, which is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, I will be broadcasting from Moffitt Cancer itself. Integrum, who has been the longstanding sponsor now, they have brought osseointegration now to Tampa. So we are starting to see osseointegration, the OPRA implant system here in Tampa. And I'm so excited. And it was being pioneered here in the Moffitt Cancer Center by one of their oncology orthopedic surgeons by the name of Dr. Alex Lazaridis. And I had the chance to see him talk at a conference last week. Phenomenal human and individual. Be a real full circle moment for me. To literally go back to where it all began for me. So that's going to be a very special show for me, guys. And I would really appreciate it if you could just kind of mark that one on your calendars. October 15th, it's going to be Wednesday. It's going to be at the usual 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I didn't change anything for you guys because I know that like folks like to listen to me at this time and they're used to it. And I want to make sure that as many of you are there. To talk about the amazing advances that they're doing with osseointegration with cancer patients, to tell a little bit about my story, and just to share that moment with you guys. Truly going to be a special moment right there. And of course, free giveaways. So, you know, if anything, you got to come for the free giveaways, right? Right? Okay. Harsh says he will be there. Thank you, Harsh. I appreciate that. Ben Gregory says, it's your own fault. You created this monster. I've been watching and listening to you for nearly 4 years, and thank you for you do for the community. It's my pleasure. It really, really is my pleasure. All right, guys. So like I said, please, please, please mark October 15th in your calendars. Super special COSI Talk show. Those of you who are signed up for my emails, you'll be getting first dibs on the giveaways. Whoops-a-daisies. What did I just do there? If you're not signed up for my emails, shame on you, but you have your chance now. If you go to cositalks.com, right there, you can sign up for my e-blasts. Okay, Cindy, about your question about the lidocaine patches, I want to do a little more research on that, darling. I don't want to give you an answer without doing the proper research. And I did not have time to do that today, and I do apologize. But I have your question here and circled. So I will be following up on your question, and I'm going to bring you the right answers next week. I just wasn't sure about my answer, so I want to double check with the right people to make sure I'm giving you the right information about that. Harsh, it's my pleasure. Tom says he'll be there. Good. Good. All right, guys. I'm done. My brain, done, kaput, all done for the evening. Guys, it would be a huge, huge help if you are not already following me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Rumble. I know it's ridiculous that I'm on all those different places. But again, if you would like to show your support for the show, please go to those different platforms and either follow or subscribe. Always helps me out. And as always, if you want to share this show out to your support groups on Facebook or Instagram or whatever it is, whatever social media platform you're on, I would appreciate that as well. Okay, we've had a busy night tonight, guys, and I had a lot of fun doing it. As always, guys, thank you for letting me be a part of your lives this evening. I will be